If you're spending more than an hour a day on email, you are making one of three critical mistakes in how you're managing your inbox. But Samantha, email is where my clients communicate with me, where I get potential new clients, and where I keep track of everything. And my friend, listen, I'm not saying email isn't important, but the biggest restriction every small business owner faces isn't the amount of leads, or the pricing of their niche, or their industry, it's their time. If you make money by focusing on a client, whether that's a floral designer planning bouquets for a client, a marketing consultant building a content strategy, or a coach or therapist actually sitting on a call with clients, every hour you spend behind the scenes on admin in your business is an hour you can't make more money. So in this video, we're going to talk through the 3 mistakes that you can make in managing your inbox so that you can get more time back to actually make more money, and how I manage my inbox so that it helps my business thrive. And if you stay till the end, I'll give you some things that you can set up for yourself to take things to the next level. And if we haven't met, I'm Samantha. I'm a 2-time small business owner and an ops and systems consultant for service-based business owners. We're talking coaches, consultants, creatives, where I focus on building systems for them so that they can spend their time back doing the thing that they actually enjoy. So the first mistake is having email open at all times or having push notifications set up. I'm sometimes guilty of this, and what I notice is that I am so much less focused on whatever else I'm doing because when something pops in, I get distracted. And if your work really has pressing timely matters where you need to see email as soon as they pop in, but be honest, because most people don't, then you have to be using the important and non-important feature in Gmail so you can set it so that you only get notifications on important emails, not the random promotional email from your editing software. But when your job is client service, your clients deserve your presence when you're working on them, not half distracted with another random client's email. Think about it this way. If you're driving yourself home, checking text isn't just dangerous to you and everybody else on the rest of the road, but it's not as useful for the person texting you because they're gonna get a half-assed response because you're driving. Looking at an email while working on client work is like texting and driving. Please don't do it. Even if I'm not actively with a client or working on a client project, if I can't actually reply to emails right now, I try not to check them. And I'll be honest, there's no system secret here. That's just the discipline of knowing that I give better responses when I'm actually present enough to be able to respond. Which brings us to the second mistake that most people make with their inbox, which is using it like a to-do list. You don't have to be an inbox zero person, although I'll admit I use a version of inbox zero that really works best for me, and I'll talk you through more of that in a little bit. But if you're using your inbox as a to-do list, this is a hugely sneaky way to lose money. And here's why. With any task that you need to complete as the business owner, you have to check off 3 different things. First, you need to have the necessary information or context to be able to act. Second, you need to be clear on the next step. And third, you need to have time to be able to execute this. Most business owners get stuck in their inbox because they sit down to take the next step, but they don't actually have the necessary information or context. And so they end up then closing the email, having wasted time because they weren't actually ready to do it in the first place. When you use your inbox like a to-do list, you can't immediately tell the difference between an email that's like an FYI, an email where you still need more information, and one where you're actually ready to take action. And as a result, your inbox feels a whole lot more overwhelming. How I tackle this is basically a version of the one-touch principle. So when I open an email, I'm trying to immediately do one thing to it. So I'm not just constantly coming back and reopening emails to jog my memory, or just letting emails sit there without a clear action next step. If it's a spam or a promotional email, obviously immediately delete those. If I read an email and there's no further action, whether that's like useful information from a newsletter, a scheduling notification, or just an FYI from a client like, I'll look at this tomorrow, it immediately gets filed into a folder, so out of my inbox, according to the situation, whether that's the education folder or my scheduling folder or the specific clients folder. Now, if the email has a specific to-do associated, like I need to answer a question, or I need to generate a deliverable for a client, or research something, this is where it gets very, very important. If it can be answered right now, basically you already know what you need to do, I do it right then. I really try not to be in my inbox if I'm not able to take actions on things right now, specifically for this context. Now, if I don't know the next step, but I do have the necessary context, so I have all the information, but I just need to make a decision, this is the one scenario where I actually let something sit in my actual inbox. But that's really just until my next focused email block where I have time to think and respond to things. Now, if I don't know the next step because I need to do more research or I need to look into something, this is distinct from actually responding to the email. And that's the sort of thing that I log into my task manager. And then I typically snooze the email to pop back in a reasonable amount of time when I think I will have been able to do that other research thing, so that it's not sitting in my inbox cluttering my mind. Now, once I've completed that research task, the next time I come into my email, I am ready to act on it. The snooze serves as a reminder to tackle the task, so I'm not holding it in my memory. It will pop back in. And if I'm ever ready to take the action before the snooze has reappeared in my inbox, I can just go back into the snooze folder and pull out the email. This tactic makes it so much easier because I don't have to remember any subtasks associated with email. And if something is sitting in my inbox, I know that it needs to be dealt in my very next inbox session, and that I'll be ready to handle it in that next inbox session. Which brings us to our third mistake, which is actually not really about your inbox at all. And that mistake is to treat your clients like your boss. When you get an email from a client and immediately drop everything to respond, you're signaling to them and to you that you're their employee, and you have to do what they say when they say that. But if you wanted that, I'm guessing you would have stayed in your corporate job. It's also not good for your client who is paying you for your expertise, because they only get the level of focus and preparedness that you're able to give at that random moment where they emailed you. Now, let me be clear, I understand client service. This doesn't mean that you shouldn't be timely in responding to your clients, and probably handle their questions or requests maybe before other less urgent matters. But there's a big difference between when you see the email and when you are actually prepared to create the response. What matters here is that you remember that you are delivering an outcome, not just your attention. If you will be able to give them better counsel, or you need more information to give them the best response, they are better served by you taking a beat and collecting that information or that context and then responding to them than if you respond 15 minutes or even 5 hours faster. If your clients don't understand that point of view, I can almost guarantee that you're undervaluing yourself, or that they're not the type of clients you want to be working with. But now I've got a bonus mistake for you. And this one is only for the business owners who have tackled at least the first and third mistake here. It's okay if you're still working on that whole one-touch principle filing system. And that bonus mistake is not automating your inbox. There are so many awesome ways to use your inbox to manage things in your business without you having to touch them. Here are some examples of some ways I do this in my business, Exhale Operations. When I get an email about an expense, it's automatically filed into a folder, but it also tells my system to log that into my bookkeeping spreadsheet and categorize it appropriately based on my rules, so that when I go to review my bookkeeping at the end of the week, it's already populated. When I get the scheduling notification for a kickoff call with a new client, my system automatically builds a brief for me based on what we discussed in the sales process and what they filled out in any intake forms, so that I'm able to come to the first call more prepared and to deliver a better experience. If I send a follow-up email to a potential prospect, my system sees that sent email when it reviews each evening, and it updates my CRM accordingly if I haven't already, so that my tracking is always up to date on when I've last talked to each particular potential client. These automations are where you can superpower how your inbox can help you deliver better work to your clients in less time, which is basically my whole goal. But I do know that setting them up can feel like another thing on your to-do list that you don't have time for. So you can head to the link below to grab the freebie where I give you the exact setup and prompts that I use to run all 3 of these previously mentioned automations. If you want somebody to build and set all this up for you, you can also head to the link in the description down below and book a discovery call about hiring Exhale to do this work for you. And with that, I'll see you in the next one.